You know, I find it hilarious that in the eyes of the mainstream media in Britain, if you're out on the street protesting against the flood of illegal boat people coming into the UK, you are far right. Now, those who turn up for a fight, they are thugs. Those who vandalise property, mosques, they are criminals. And those who hate all Muslims, they are Islamophobic. But just because you protest against an absolute tide of unchecked queue jumpers doesn't make you far right. It makes you loyal to a country you'd like to keep safe. But the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, says they are not just far right, they're extremists as well and are unchristian-like. Well, 1GB News panellist Paul Cox was not impressed with those comments.
Do you know a headline I've never seen? And that is that the Archbishop of Canterbury concentrates on managing the church. There's never been any of that. He's not really doing any of that. He's not too fussed about the church or anything that goes on there. He's just an opinionated sort of man who, like you say, is a bit of an influencer. I would say, he needs to be re-familiarised with what the Christians did in the Crusades.
I'm a Christian. He's right. Christianity has had its own cause to be violent over centuries. But the reason Brits are angry is not for the sake of just picking a fight and having fun. As the riots have continued, so too have the leaky boats. The highest number of migrants since Sir Keir Starmer became Prime Minister crossed the Channel in a single day on Sunday. Listen to this. A total of 703 people were detected making the crossing in 11 boats, according to provisional figures from the Home Office, the third highest daily number so far in 2024. That's even beyond what Australia witnessed at the height of the leaky boat tide when Labor was last in power. This has become chronic. And while the government has been slamming rioters and threatening social media users, they've distracted the people, not telling Brits what's been happening at the borders.
Now, this issue, understandably, has not got as much coverage.
I knew it would.
Given that the riots have been boiling over for recent days. The two are not unrelated.
Right.
Given the tensions that the arrival of these people illegally across the Channel is causing in communities across the country. So a very busy day yesterday. It takes the total who've arrived across the Channel so far this year to 18,342. And that's 13% up on where we were last year.
It's getting worse under Keir Starmer. And what those in the UK are seeing in their local communities, as Mark White alluded to there, is how too many crimes can be traced back to unchecked and unscrupulous illegal entrants. Even Tory leadership aspirant James Cleverly has admitted that safety and illegal immigration are connected.
We've got to keep people safe and control our borders. I took action to bring net migration down, and I was in process of taking action to deal with illegal migration. We have got to get that right. It's not about talking about it, it's dealing with it.
Now, it's all well and good for the Starmer government to arrest Facebook users, throw rioters in jail cells and call protesters far-right extremists. But this is an immigration and security crisis. Australia is familiar with this. The Prime Minister is saying there's no silver bullet. Well, sorry, there actually is. Australia, with the wisdom of the late great Senator Jim Molan, solved this problem with Operation Sovereign Borders. The template is there to copy immediately. Starmer needs to focus on the root cause of illegal boat arrivals and get that under control. That's when the rioting will come to an end. Wake up. This is ADH TV. Well, in times of uncertainty, in times of war and strife, a population tends to cling to their government like a child to their mother. It's true. Conversely, governments who find themselves in some kind of domestic political strife or out of favour will cling to national security announcements as their comfort blanket. It's like one big preschool, really. But it's true. National security is used by all governments to strengthen their standing, which is why this week's allegation in the federal parliament that in 2022 the Albanese government took several months to lower Australia's terrorism threat level from probable to possible is red hot. Was this Labor's way of entrenching their standing as Australia's protector in times of probable threat? The problem was, for months, ASIO had advised the government that a threat was only possible and no longer probable. Let's bring in security and intelligence expert, former ADF Special Ops soldier Shane Healey. Shane was deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq several times. In Australia, he was part of the Tactical Assault Group and involved in a number of real-time terrorist incidents. He now consults for both government and non-government agencies. Shane Healey, welcome to ADH TV.
Good evening, Chris. How are you going?
Very, very well. Firstly, how do we know that ASIO advised the government in 2022 that the threat level should be lowered and that the government delayed lowering it?
So first of all, every reporting period, ASIO and other intelligence agencies will brief the government on their current threats within their environment. And so we've got to take Mike Burgess at his word when he says this, but what will happen is they'll have areas of responsibility. So in lone actor, they'll say during this reporting period, there's been a number of recent information or recent reports that indicate the threat is X, and therefore we assess that it's possible, probable, certain that in the next X amount of time period, there will be a domestic terrorist incident.